Hey everybody, TacDad here. Just wanted to make a few comments about my Polymer 80 build. I got a full-size Polymer 80. Something like this is just really just a fun project to do. Something you build yourself from the ground up. You choose whatever parts you want instead of buying an entire Glock and then getting rid of a bunch of stuff and adding to it. You start from the ground up. You start with your basic frame and you move on from there. When you buy one of these, I would definitely suggest you get the V2 version because it comes with metal rails instead of you having to drill out polymer grooves in the polymer. They actually give you metal rails, so that's definitely a plus. So I would definitely recommend getting a V2 version. Lots of times they have sales, so make sure whatever sale they have, make sure you're getting the right one. I got the textured. There's another version that allows you to, that's smooth, that allows you to do your own texturing. But this texture is doesn't look like much, but it is kind of aggressive. Once you start handling your gun and shooting it, you realize this is you know, a little bit more than what it looks. But anyway, I'm sure you've seen lots of other videos, but basically you get your jig and your drill bits. I would suggest when you put this together, these new ones come with a lock, so the top locks, but I would go ahead and put Scotch tape on the sides to make sure that the sides are flush and the bottom as well. Just put a little piece of Scotch tape so that way they stay together when you put it in a vise. And make sure the first thing you do is drill the holes. Don't Dremel out these first. Drill the holes first. That's the most important part. And only drill one side and then the other side. Don't drill all the way through from one side. Okay, once you get the holes, then you can go ahead and Dremel down, and then you can even take it out of here at the very end to finish off. I actually used a saw blade for my Dremel to saw out the channel part. I used a Dremel saw, reinforced saw, and I basically went in vertically up and down and moving this way vertically up and down, and then angled it a little bit to get that groove. And that worked pretty well actually, and I went from both sides because if not, it'll start moving the material one direction then you can't see. So you want to do it from both directions. Okay, so, and this is something you want to take your time with. Sure, there's people that can do it, you know, on camera in less than an hour. Okay, but this is something you want to take your time with and make sure you finish it correctly. Okay, so I got a standard OEM Glock version 3 lower parts kit. So that's what I installed in here. Now, when I went to the range, I started getting brass in my face. Okay, and so I did a little research and I found out, let me see if I can zoom in here, the Gen 3s come with this extractor. It's a 336, is that what that says? It's a 336, ah, there you go, 336 extractor. Okay, now I'm sorry, this is an ejector, 336 numbered ejector. That's what the version 3s used to come with. Now, I did not get an OEM extractor, so I don't know if that's part of the reason or if that had contributed to me getting brass in my face today. So, what I went ahead and did was I ordered a Gen 4 ejector. The number here is 30274. Okay, the part number when you order it is actually 30275. Don't ask me why. And that gives you the entire assembly with this ejector. So when I get that won't fit. That will not fit in this Gen 3. So what I have to do is I have to remove this extractor and put it in here. And then I also ordered a new new extractor from not an OEM one, but a Lone Wolf extractor. So that should take care of that issue. Okay, so what else can I say? This fit really well. When you are tooling out the frame, obviously try not to tool out more than it's necessary because you want it to look nice. But the bottom line is, as long as you made these holes in the right spot, these rails will be in the spot it's supposed to be in. So you might have a little missing material underneath it, but it won't go any further down because these holes are there. Again, very important you put these holes, do these holes first, and be careful with them, make sure they're in the right spot. Secondly, these were not nice and shiny when I got them. I went ahead and I just Dremel polished, not sanded. I didn't sand. I didn't remove any material. I just Dremel polished with mother's polish and a Dremel, the tops and the sides, to make this nice and slick and no bumps. Everything I could to basically make sure that the slide receives the least amount of resistance. Now, on my batch, I heard that a bunch of other people had the same issue. This large locking block was too tight in the rear. In the front, it was perfect. It would slide in. It was tight, but it would slide in. In the rear, it was 1/16 of an inch too big. So what I did was I ended up filing a little bit the bottom edges, and I angled them out a little bit so that they were thinner on the bottom, so I could just get it to fit in the frame, and then I pushed it in. Now, there's a recommendation in the instructions that says to put a wooden dowel in the trigger assembly, a 7/16 wooden dowel in the trigger assembly, so that would open up the frame a little bit for you to fit this in. I did that and I couldn't do it because it wouldn't open up the frame large enough. So I ended up, like I said, taking off just a little bit on each side of this rear, on the bottom, just to get it so that it's a little bit thinner on the very bottom, just to get it started, and then pushed it in. And that was below the holes. So this seems to work fine. Other than that, that's about it. When you Dremel this out, you make sure that this shelf that you cut out at least is low enough in the same level as this back part. They need to be at the same level so that your recoil spring fits in there. And that's it. As far as Polymer 80, this was not as hard as I thought it would be. Oh, and the takedown spring, sometimes this hole isn't deep enough. So what I did was I ended up bending this that came at a 90-degree angle. I bent it slightly more so that it wouldn't be risen as much. It was flatter, and then I put it in, and it works, and it doesn't have any issues. So I'm just gonna leave it that way. So that's it. I still gotta put a serial number on there, and I do that just so that I can prove it's mine, basically. I'll somewhere I'll engrave it or put my initials somewhere or something. I'll put it on here somewhere, and then have a record of it so that just in case I could always prove that, yeah, this is mine. So that's the only reason why I'm doing that. So that's about it for Polymer 80. Look for my other video that talks about the slide I chose and how it all worked together. Till next time.